Name the Niners' top weapon.
A lot of people would say CMC. I think it's Ayuk. Now, I know Debo's coming off an awesome game. Kittle's probably a future Hall of Famer. CMC is maybe the MVP, but I think I would go with Ayuk. I think Ayuk is just, he separates, he's got hands, he runs across the middle, not afraid. Never turns down the ball like for a big hit, never gets alligator arms. I think Ayuk is the guy. Like when Brock's gotta have it, it's 3rd and 15 or whatever. He's looking for Ayuk. Ayuk's the guy who gets separation. I'm saying it's Ayuk.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
You know, your targets also have to do with, are you getting open? I like the separation I've seen when he has been targeted, but I got to assume that he's not being targeted more in other situations because he's not as open. I'm not pleased with that production. I want way more production.
Where are you going? I'm setting booby traps. You mean booby traps? That's what I said, booby traps.
You'd ask me this summer, what do you think he's going to catch? I would say he's going to catch about 7 to 12 touchdowns. He's got 2. I'm very
He still might catch 7.
Yeah.
Right now, he's 10th in the league in receiving yards, and 5 of the people ahead of him have played one more game than he has.
Yeah, I just thought more touchdowns. I mean, this has got to be your guy, man. I mean,
you know, Julio was not a big touchdown guy either, and I thought he was pretty good, but maybe not. Maybe he was overrated.
I'm not saying this guy's terrible.
Andre Johnson wasn't either, by the way.
In the summer, he attacked every ball like it was the low ball, the high ball. I mean, Jesse, you saw it. He was amazing this summer, and so was McCaffrey. But then the season started, and McCaffrey's still like on this MVP trajectory, and Ayuk's got 2 touchdowns, and it's almost Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but you're only focusing on the touchdowns. And then when you say, well, he was catching every ball, Larry, he's catching nearly 70% of his targets. So that means he is catching nearly every low ball, high ball, everything that's coming his way. How many number 1 receivers in the NFL do you know that have 52 targets after 7 games?
Maybe it's because I just watched Jamar Chase.
He's not Jamar Chase. I agree with
Jamar Chase got targeted 19 times in one game.
I just watched Addison light up the Niners. I just wanted more from Ayuk. I thought Ayuk was going to have the kind of year that.
Did you see Addison light up the Niners, or did you see Kirk Cousins light up the Niners? Did you see Jamar Chase light up the Niners, or did you see Joe Burrow light up the Niners?
Well, I don't know if I can even separate, but I thought Addison looked really, really good.
Man,
I agree.
Harsh critic.
I am a harsh critic because guess what? I needed to see a bunch of touchdowns, and especially on a team that's got all these other weapons. It's like, you know what? I want to see. This guy was the best player. This was the best player in camp all summer by a country mile. If you had told me in July that we're going to get to November and he's going to have 2 touchdowns, I would have been like, what? He must have missed 3 or 4 games with injury, and he hasn't.
What if I told you he was going to have 1,400 yards receiving and miss a game? Would you feel good about that going into the season?
I mean, to me, it's about touchdowns. I want to see touchdowns. I want to see touchdowns.
My guy VK, excellent initials, by the way. Shout out to him because those are some super initials. VK, just saying. He says Purdy's 100 times more clutch than Brandon Ayuk, and this is where it gets interesting, right? Because who do you really attribute the clutchness to on the drive against the Browns? The clutch drive against the Browns before Moody missed the kick. The guy who caught the slant.
Thank you.
And outran Martin Emerson and got 18 yards after the catch to put him in field goal range. He doesn't get any credit for being clutch.
I didn't say no credit for being clutch.
Not you, my guy VK. You're not.
I think he's
LK.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Ayuk's the best receiver they got. But let's look at this way too. Danny Gray, nothing. Debo's been hurt. His numbers are pedestrian. Kittle, not a whole lot of production. So I thought in lieu of that, especially based on what I saw this summer, that Ayuk was going off. And
is 1,400 yards not going off?
I mean,
you're punishing Ayuk because everybody else isn't holding their weight. And so he should be doing better because he's got to pick up for everybody else that's sucking and has big contracts already.
Well, because there's only one ball. right? So
right. So maybe blame those guys for not playing well and getting paid a crap ton.
If there was somebody else producing, then that would explain.
Yeah, there is somebody else
name
producing.
Is Christian McCaffrey.
His name is Christian McCaffrey.
He takes all the touchdowns from everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I wanted to see. I thought Ayuk was going to go off and really have the monster year, and I don't think he has.
Larry, he's been targeted 52 times. I wish I could get you the distribution, and I wish I had the distribution. I don't think he's been targeted that many times in the red zone for us to expect more touchdowns. I feel like when they get into the red zone, they're trying to.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like when they're get into the red zone, they're actively trying to get the record for Christian McCaffrey. It seems almost like they're hunting it. He gets 2 out of 3 touches on a down cycle in the red zone.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not satisfied with 2 touchdowns in November. You could have 2 touchdowns and a half. I mean, that the fact that he's played all these games and only has 2 touchdowns, I think has been disappointing. And the fact that he has dropped some balls in recent weeks. I mean, he had 3 drops in that Cleveland game. Those balls hit him in the hands.
No, he didn't. I think he only counted for 1 drop. He did not have 3 drops in that game.
He had 3. He had 3 drops.
What were the other 2? Are you counting the one that he dove on the
No. I'm talking this.
Denzel Ward.
I think the stat was only 1 drop.
No. I mean, I watched that game 3 times. He had 3 drops.
I understand what you watched. I'm telling you the stat said only 1 drop, and I agree with that stat.
Ball hits you in the hands, you're supposed to catch it.
No, that is not true, Larry. Not all things are created equal. When you're running as fast as you can one direction and the ball comes here and you've got to stop and try to contort your body and it hits you in your hands, you're supposed to catch that? Come on, man. No way.
Tyreek Hill plays in an offense that has other weapons. Tyreek Hill's got
now
1,
we're comparing
2,
him to the best
3,
receiver in football
4,
right now.
5,
he has 1,000 yards. He's better than everybody.
He's got
not better
500
than
yard
Tyreek
days.
Hill, Larry.
Touchdowns.
We're not arguing
he has 4 times as many touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, but we're not arguing that he's better than Tyreek Hill. If we were arguing that he was better than Tyreek Hill, then I would be like, yeah, you got me there, Larry. But I don't think he's better than Tyreek Hill, but I think he's having a terrific
You guys have low standards
season.
then. I think you have low standards for touchdowns. When you're talking about your number 1 receiver, your number 1 receiver should have more
Julio
touchdowns.
Jones was the best receiver in the sport of football?
Right.
Because that guy was always 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns, 1,800 yards, 1,900 yards.
Well, we're talking about years ago. I'm saying right now, Tyreek Hill has 8 touchdowns. We're halfway through the year. He's their number 1 receiver. Ayuk's the Niners' number 1 receiver. He's got 2.
So
I'd like to see
Julio
Ayuk
Jones
just
had 64 total touchdowns.
Tyreek Hill's
Julio
in the
Jones
MVP
had 64 touchdowns on 900 receptions in his career. 1 time got to 10, and the rest of the time was he had 3 seasons of 8, and then everything else was 6, 3, 2, 1. He had a couple seasons of 1. Like, you can't. Touchdowns are very dependent on a lot of things. A lot of things go into touchdowns, in my opinion.
I know, but you guys are ignoring the fact that Kittle was dinged up at the beginning of the year. Debo's missed time. But nobody else, no other receivers.
Those guys got to perform too. Like, that should be an indictment on them, not on Ayuk.
No, there's only 1 ball that goes around. This guy's played and not scored touchdowns.
There's like a quarter of a ball that goes around because 1 ball goes to
He's had 52
CMC.
targets this year, Larry. So are you saying that he's not getting targeted because he's just not getting open on the other plays that he doesn't get the ball?
I was worried in camp that BA was going to have the kind of year that would price him out of the 49ers. There's no chance of that now. No chance of that. But, I mean, targets also have to do with who's open, man. I mean, that's simple as that. I mean, you can't just say, well, hey, man, he hasn't been targeted all year. It's not on him.
Matt McEwen says, did I just hear Larry say Brandon Ayuk is the best weapon? What?
All because I got into this debate with Vish and Jesse a few weeks ago, and I walked into it and I said, hey, look, I'm disappointed at week 8 that Brandon Ayuk has only 2 touchdowns. Based on what I saw in camp, I thought this guy was going to have 12 to 15 touchdowns. He had 8 last year. I would have thought, based on what I saw this summer, that he could double that, and I was expecting him to have like 16. He had 2 after week 8. That's all I said. The rest of this is just dog shit.
Language.
This magic moment, so different and so new, was like any other.